Good morning, guys. So I don't usually do this, but I'm gonna walk around a little bit with the camera here. As you can see, the truck's right here. Today I want to talk about lot docking or boondocking. So whenever I'm traveling, whatever I do is I stop along the way. I don't have the luxury of doing those rule of three stuff, 300 miles a day by 3 p.m., all that stuff. So I travel long days usually. When we went out west, it was about 12 hours a day. And I don't pre-plan because I don't know where I'm going to stop. I drive till I get too tired and then I stop. So with that, we do a lot of boondocking when we're traveling, right? So today we're at a Cabelas. Well, it's kind of a Cabelas. It was supposed to be a Cabelas. An app that I use whenever I'm traveling to find places is RV Parky. It seems to be very user-friendly, very helpful. The one thing that I didn't figure out until late in the game, though, is they do show Cabelas on there, but they do not show Bass Pro. And a lot of times there's two close together, and since they're owned by the same company, both of them aren't usually open anymore. So that's what happened to me last night. So last night I ended up going to Cabelas in Bristol, Virginia, and it was on Cabela Drive, but there was no Cabelas. And then I figured out that there was a Bass Pro close by. Really wish RV Parky would add that on their list there. I also use freecampsites.net, but be very careful with that because just from traveling around the ones close to my house, it takes you to a lot of places that you can't get a rig in. So just be careful. And a lot of people say whenever you're lot docking, don't put your slides out, all that stuff. You do want to stay as small as possible. You want to get away from the main parking area as much as you can. I even usually go a little bit further, but we're way back there. The main parking area is right over here. It's early in the morning. A lot of times I'll try to leave right after the business opens. They just opened up. Another thing you should do, if you stay somewhere, you should go in and give them some business in the morning or in the evening when you park, if they're still open. So that's what we're doing. We're going in here. We're going to get us a little something to say thank you for letting me spend the night here. All right, so we're at the front of the store here. Like I say, it's usually even further away where I park, but just to give you some idea. So there's our rig. There's plenty of parking over here. Plenty of parking. I'm not intruding on anything, not messing anything up there. Also, you want to stay as small as possible. If you can leave your slides in, please leave your slides in. My rig, unfortunately, hardly anything is user-friendly with the slides in, so I do put my slides out. Now my rig's not as long as a lot of fifth wheels, and so I still have the same basic square foot blueprint, but I do try to park over on the edge somewhere. You know, where I'm parked at now, it's in a row of parking places. One slide's kind of over some grass. The other slide doesn't come out hardly any further than the stairs, which would be out anyway. And it's in the parking spaces, so it's not out in the road. So just be careful about stuff like that. And just use common sense, use respect. Whenever we went out west, there was a lot of people that disconnected from their camper. I thought that was a little odd, and I've never seen that before. I also wouldn't recommend doing that. Just so you guys know, there's a few different places that I boondock frequently, and there's some places that I avoid. My first pick is always Cabelas or Bass Pro. It's because the parking is larger. A lot of times there's RV parking specifically. And sometimes you'll get lucky and they'll even cater to you and have a dump station at a Cabelas. I've not seen any at Bass Pro. They're supposed to have one at the Bass Pro here when I read on RV Parky, but it's closed down. So you go on Cabelas Drive, all you find is a Lowe's and you get really confused. Do you know what I mean? Now the second place, because I consider Cabelas and Bass Pro the same, actually both names are on this building today. The second place that I usually use for a go-to is Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrels are nice. We actually stayed at one in Murfreesboro on the way home from out west. It had an entire parking lot just for RV parking across the street. That was really nice. Biggest problem I run into with Cracker Barrels, a lot of times they're filled up and a lot of people aren't respectful and they park their cars. A lot of them are employees, I think, park their cars in the RV parking. So you gotta watch out for that. Third on the list is gonna be Walmart. I put it kind of at the lower part of the list. I've only did it once. I try not to do it. It's kind of frowned upon in some places. Some places allow, some places don't. And that is usually shows up on RV Parky. And the last place that I would put on my list to watch for would be truck stops or rest areas. Some states allow you to spend overnight in rest areas, some don't, so you got to look at that, as well as truck stops. The issue with both of those is the same thing, and it's going to be because of people parked really close to each other, trucks running all night. Truckers really need somewhere to rest too. So we're just walking around here in Bass Pro or Cabelas. I don't even know what you call this conglomeration anymore, but we're trying to find something that's not real expensive that we can get to say thanks. All right, so usually my go-to whenever I stay somewhere like this is trying to find a little something that they sell here that they don't sell in other places. I can't say the word, I don't want to get in trouble, but they still had a shortage here, so that didn't work out. So we're going to camping type stuff because that's our second choice. Also, guys, remember the most respectful thing to do whenever you're going to lot dock somewhere is to give them a call. Don't use the word camp. It comes off a little strong. Use the term overnight parking. Ask them if they allow overnight parking. Now, my experience is usually they're like, what? And they don't know what you're talking about. So that's most places that I've been. And so truthfully, I stopped calling, but I use RV Parky to decide where it's allowed and where it's not. Okay, so this particular journey, we ended up getting some flashlights. You know, little flashlights like this are always good to have around. It's a decent price, so I thought we'll go ahead and get it. Now, the issue with the little flashlights that you want to look out for is these are powered by AAA batteries. Some of them use the little watch batteries. And in my opinion, the little watch batteries just don't cut it with the flashlight because it's not dependable if you're gonna have it for use. Okay guys, so we took you on a little trip to Cabelas, Bass Pro, Cabelas, but I don't even know what you call this place anymore. Both names are on the building. Bass Pro's the big name. I know that Cabelas moved here, so I think the official term is Bass Pro, but they had to confuse me by putting Cabelas on the side too. So we got our little thanks for letting me spend the night present here, and we're walking back to the camper. Now that RV Parky app is real easy to use. Just go to the filters on there, and in the filters you can select only overnight stays. You can select, with Walmart, you can select only ones that allow overnight parking. So it's really helpful. All you got to do is you go onto that app at RV Parky and you put the city that you're looking for, and then boom, it'll show you all the options around there, and it'll have their little logos on the map. It's really easy to do, really easy to find, easy to use. My only complaint with the app is that they don't have Bass Pro on there. I sent them a message and was like, please add Bass Pro, but they didn't even respond to it. That's been about a month ago. So thanks guys. One last thing about lot docking. So personally, I never put my landing gear down. Some people stay hooked up and they put their landing gear down to help level out the trailer a little bit. I don't do that. I just find the most level spot that I can and I make do with it. This was in the parking lot. This is about the only semi-level spot they have. Side to side, it was perfectly level, but it is nose down a little bit. But it works for overnight stay.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.